It is officially the last day of my senior season as we made it to the state championship game and my opponent won the toss, choosing to kick the ball off first. We received the ball and I didn't start off cold at all as I ran to the left and tried to hit my tight end deep down the field. A couple plays later, I see that there's a broken coverage on the defense and I have my running back on a wheel route wide open along the sideline and I'm able to hit him for a 50-yard pass. Defense came out with a stop and I was not cold on offense at all as I scrambled to the left and ultimately hit my tight end who came back to the middle of the field. 2 plays later, we're passing deep again. I see my tight end left deep on a corner route and he's able to break a tackle for my second touchdown of the game. We are starting off hot on offense. Defense comes out with another stop and this game is already looking over as we have the ball already up 2 possessions. I run the ball but ultimately take a big hit. A couple plays later, I like to show off my arm strength as I hit this deep ball in between 2 DBs and my wide receiver is ultimately tackled at the 2-yard line. In the very next play with no one initially open, I run and scramble to the right for my first rushing touchdown of the game. Already up 21-0, this game is looking over as we're about to score our 4th touchdown of the game, but ultimately I threw a pick right to my opponent's face, and this was not looking great for me. The very next drive as well, their defense is stepping up, and I get sacked for a loss of 10 yards. However, on 3rd and 14, we run 4 verts, and I see my wide receiver open up the seam. I hit Chris Hussein for a 34-yard touchdown. And right before the end of the first half, we ran 4 verts again, and the defense wasn't prepared at all as I hit my wide receiver up the seam again. It's 35-7 to begin the second half. We run 4 verts, the play that's continuously worked. We get another touchdown. It's 41-7. Ultimately, we win our state championship 66-7. With it being signing day, I had many offers from Ohio State and Clemson, but ultimately I chose to stay in state and go to Cal. My very first practice, it was raining, and it was definitely a rocky practice. As you guys can see right here, I scramble to the right and I try to force this deep bomb, but ultimately it gets picked off. And with my lack of throwing accuracy in college, I officially decided to rely on my legs a little bit more and run for some yards. The first time I saw action on the real field was in week 2 when we were up 42-10 in the 4th quarter. The only time I really got to be on the field was just handing the ball off to the running back. I actually was not able to complete a pass this game, but I did run the clock out. Fast forward a couple weeks and I was starting to light it up in practice. My accuracy was slowly starting to get better as I rolled out and hit 2 corner routes wide open. Not only was I able to attack the sidelines, but I was also able to hit my wide receivers deep down the middle of the field. And this was the highlight of this practice as I scrambled to the left and see my wide receiver coming back across the field. I hit him deep and he was able to get a huge touchdown. And with me starting to make highlight plays after highlight plays, ultimately I ended up winning the starting position. My first start in college came in week 4 against Oregon, and you could tell I was nervous by the look of these routes. They were nonstop shaky. I decided to try to get into a rhythm quick by just throwing small passes, and we're able to pick up a couple first downs. But a couple of plays later, I tried to scramble to the left, and ultimately I fumbled the ball, and this leads to my first turnover of the season. Being down 7-0 wasn't a position I wanted to be in, and I knew I had to get into the rhythm. I hit my wide receiver on a post route to pick up a first down. And a couple plays later on 1st and goal, I hit my tight end for my first touchdown as a college starter. Fast forward to the 4th quarter, we're officially down by 2 possessions and I need to score quick. I hit my tight end deep on a crosser route. I was really trying to clutch this up. I see 2 targets in the end zone and I try to hit one of them, but he ends up dropping the ball after being hit by the safety. However, in desperation mode, we go back to 4 verts and I see my wide receiver deep in the end zone. Ultimately, my defense couldn't stop Oregon, and we ended up losing 14-17. It's officially week 5, and we're back home against Washington State. With my first start coming out as a loss, I knew this game meant a lot to me, and I really wanted to come out with a win. However, early in the 2nd quarter, I scrambled to the left yet again, and I ultimately take a big hit, and this puts me out for a little bit of time. I'm able to come in again midway through the 2nd quarter, but I'm a little bit out of rhythm, and I just continuously run deep down the field to gain yards. However, I know that my arm talent has gotten a little bit better, so I see my wide receiver open on the right side of the field, and he's tackled down at the 1-yard line. On 2nd and goal, they cannot stop Chad Bradson's legs, and I just run it in from the 1-yard line, making us go up 21-0. Again, I felt like Washington State kept playing great defense against my wide receivers, but they kept giving up a lot of yards on the run. Washington State ended up coming back from down 21-0, and there was 1 minute left in the game. This was time for me to clutch up and show what I'm made of. After starting off a little rocky, I see my wide receiver open deep down the left side of the field, and a couple plays later, I run for another first down. With 20 seconds left in the game, we run 4 verts, and I throw a tight pass to my tight end, who's able to hold on to the ball, and we get the go-ahead touchdown with 20 seconds left. And just like that, my second game as a starter comes out with a win.